Are you tired of feeling like there's never enough time in the day? You wake up, rush through your morning, and by the time you're ready to breathe, it's already time to hit the pillow again, feeling like you've hardly scratched the surface of your to-do list. Sound familiar? Well, I'm about to challenge everything you think you know about time management. No more just work harder or multitask more nonsense. What if I told you there's a smarter, simpler way to manage your time, one that actually works? This video isn't about some generic advice you've heard 100 times. It's about real, practical hacks that busy professionals can actually use to get more done in less time and with less stress. Stick with me, because I'm diving deep into strategies that could revolutionize the way you work. Don't blink, because this could be the game changer you've been waiting for. Let's get into it. Number 1. The ruthless hour rule. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you gave yourself one uninterrupted hour? Not an hour of scrolling, not an hour of multitasking, but one solid, focused hour where the world didn't exist, and it was just you and the task that truly mattered. Can't remember? You're not alone. Most of us are so entangled in distractions and demands that the idea of carving out an hour for ourselves feels selfish, impossible, or both. But what if I told you that one ruthless hour could change everything? Now, I know what you're thinking. Ruthless? That sounds intense. And you're absolutely right. It is intense, because it has to be. The world isn't going to stop emailing, messaging, or calling just because you're busy. If anything, it'll find new ways to interrupt you. That's why you have to set the rules. No, the boundaries yourself. Picture this. You announce to your family, colleagues, or whoever's in your orbit, "For the next hour, I'm unavailable." Period sounds bold, right? Maybe even a little audacious. But trust me, the world won't collapse in your absence. You know the situation. You start a task. Maybe it's that report you've been dreading, or finally drafting that pitch you've had in your head for weeks, and within minutes, ding, a notification pops up. Maybe it's a Slack message or a group chat spiraling into chaos. You think, "I'll just check it quickly," and suddenly you're down a rabbit hole of GIFs, memes, and unrelated updates. 2 hours later, the task is still unfinished, and you're wondering where your focus went. We've all been there. That's why this hour has to be ruthless. It's not just about time management, it's about reclaiming control. Here's how it works. You pick 1 hour, any hour really. It doesn't have to be at 5 a.m. or some magical productivity time that gurus swear by. It just needs to be a time when you can shut the door, silence your phone, and let the world fade away. During that hour, you focus on one thing. No multitasking, no checking notifications, no unnecessary interruptions. It's not easy at first. You'll feel tempted to peek at your phone or answer that email, but fight it. This hour is your sacred space. I tried this once when I was drowning in work and couldn't see a way out. Deadlines were looming, and my inbox was a war zone. I told my colleagues, "I'm offline for the next hour. Don't call unless it's an actual emergency." I closed my office door, silenced my phone, and for one glorious hour, it was just me and the task at hand. The result: I finished in that single hour what would have normally taken me 3 distracted ones. When I came back online, guess what? The world was still there. No fires, no disasters. Just me, feeling 10 times lighter and infinitely more productive. This isn't just about ticking boxes on a to-do list. It's about peace of mind. It's about proving to yourself that you don't have to be available to everyone all the time. You don't have to justify needing time for deep work or personal growth. This is about reclaiming your focus, your energy, and let's be honest, your sanity. So here's my challenge to you. Schedule your ruthless hour. Protect it like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Your mental clarity, your progress, your peace of mind, it all starts here. And when you finally take that hour, when you lock the world out and get stuff done, you'll realize something powerful. That hour wasn't just about productivity, it was about self-respect. Your space, your peace, your dignity, they're worth fighting for. So go on, be ruthless. Number 2, the task assassin method. Imagine this. You wake up and your to-do list is already 5 miles long. It's like a never-ending game of whack-a-mole where tasks keep popping up faster than you can knock them down. Sound familiar? Yeah, we've all been there. You sit down to work, and before you know it, an hour's gone by and you've only crossed off one thing. You start thinking, how on earth am I ever going to get through all this? Here's the thing. The answer isn't to work harder, it's to work smarter. And that's where the task assassin method comes in. Now, I know what you're thinking. Task assassin? That sounds a little intense. And yes, it's supposed to, because the reality is your to-do list isn't just a list, it's a battleground. And if you don't take a more strategic approach, you'll get overwhelmed, stuck, or worse, paralyzed. But this method, it's about ruthless precision. It's about identifying the biggest enemy on your list and going after it first. No distractions, no compromises, just one big, scary task executed flawlessly. And trust me, once you get into this mindset, everything else will fall into place. Think about it. You know the type of tasks I'm talking about. The ones that sit there, staring at you, like that monster under the bed. They're big, intimidating, and you've been avoiding them for days or weeks. The thought of tackling them feels like climbing Mount Everest. But here's the catch. The longer you avoid them, the bigger and scarier they get. But if you eliminate that one huge task first thing in the morning, you'll not only feel a massive weight lift off your shoulders, but also gain enough momentum to tackle everything else like a pro. I'll tell you how I found this out. A few months ago, I had a huge project hanging over me, a report that was due in a couple of days. I had already procrastinated on it for way too long, and the pressure was building. I sat there thinking, all right, I've got to do something about this. So I put the task assassin method to the test. I closed all my tabs, muted my phone, and told myself, no emails, no distractions, just this report for the next hour. At first, it felt like torture. My mind kept wandering and every notification tempted me. But I stuck to it. 1 hour, no breaks. By the end, the report was done. And guess what? I still had the whole rest of the day to get through everything else. Here's the magic of the task assassin method. It's about hitting the hardest challenge head-on, taking it out before it takes you down. This method isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress, no matter how small. The emotional benefit? You'll feel empowered. You'll realize that you have control over your tasks. And once you eliminate the big one, you'll start feeling like a task-slaying machine. And here's the best part. It doesn't have to be the biggest task every single day. But by starting with the most daunting one, you'll build momentum. And that's what carries you through the rest of your list with ease. So, here's what I want you to do. Tomorrow, pick that one task that's been haunting you and give it everything you've got. Don't back down. No excuses. By the time you cross it off, you'll feel like you've taken back your time, your focus, and your dignity. This is about doing the hard things first, crushing your fear of the unknown, and realizing that you're capable of so much more than you think. Because when you take on your tasks with this level of intensity and focus, you're not just checking boxes. You're proving to yourself that you've got the skills, the discipline, and the mindset to win. And that, my friend, is how you become the task assassin. Number 3, the reverse calendar. Hack. What if I told you that the secret to a stress-free, productive week starts at the end? That's right, not at the beginning, not with a to-do list, but with the time when your day ends. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, What is this magic nonsense? Trust me on this one. It's a game changer. I'm talking about the reverse calendar hack, a simple yet wildly effective way to plan your week backwards. Sounds weird? It's actually brilliant. And yes, I promise it works. You know the feeling. You start your day full of intentions. You have your tasks, your goals, everything lined up, except somewhere between the coffee and the first email, everything goes haywire. The world has a way of throwing curveballs, and suddenly your perfectly planned day is spiraling out of control. Been there? We've all been there. It feels like you're constantly fighting fires, reacting to what comes at you instead of controlling your own time. So, what if you could flip the script and make time work for you instead of against you? The reverse calendar hack is exactly that. A strategy to take back control and stop letting the day dictate your life. Here's how it works. Instead of waking up and making a list of tasks to do tomorrow, you start by planning for the very end of your day. Yes, you begin with your end goal in mind. Start by imagining the perfect ending. What does a successful day look like to you? Is it leaving the office on time, having time for a workout, or finally getting a moment to yourself? Once you know that, you simply reverse engineer your entire day, scheduling backward. You'll be surprised at how this approach forces you to be more intentional with your time and makes the rest of the day feel more organized. Let me give you an example. Last week I had one of those days where everything felt overwhelming. Meetings, deadlines, errands. You name it, I had to deal with it. But instead of tackling my list in the usual start from the top and hope for the best way, I decided to try the reverse calendar hack. I started with the evening, thinking, okay, by 7 p.m. I need to have completed X task, relaxed for 30 minutes, and prepped for tomorrow. Once I had my evening in mind, I worked backward, blocking out my time for each task. The trick was that I gave myself just enough time to finish each item and set realistic expectations rather than overloading myself. The result? I felt calm and in control all day, knowing exactly when to transition from one task to the next. By the time the evening came, I was exactly where I needed to be. No stress, no chaos. The emotional payoff here is huge. This method doesn't just make you more productive, it gives you back your sense of calm and purpose. By starting with the end, you stop letting your day run away from you. Instead of feeling like a victim to your calendar, you're the one calling the shots. It's about reclaiming your time and, honestly, your sanity. It's the difference between rushing around, feeling like you're always behind, and finishing the day knowing you've accomplished what truly matters. So here's the takeaway. Next time you're planning your day, flip the script. Start from the end and let everything else fall into place. When you start with the finish line in sight, the steps to get there become clear. Your time is your most valuable asset. Treat it like it's worth more than just surviving the day. Because when you take control of your schedule, you're not just getting things done, you're investing in your peace, your focus, and your well-being. And that, my friend, is the ultimate win. Number 4, social media blackout periods. What if I told you that the secret to boosting your productivity and sanity isn't by working harder, but by doing nothing? Specifically, doing nothing on social media. Sounds a little crazy, right? But trust me on this one. Social media blackout periods are exactly what you need. Now I know what you're probably thinking, but I need to keep up with everything. I'll miss out. Well, hold on, because I'm about to blow your mind with why disconnecting can actually be the best thing for your brain and your to-do list. You know the type. The constant scrolling through Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. You're supposed to be working, but the endless feed keeps pulling you in. You tell yourself you'll check it for 5 minutes, and 3 hours later, you're still there, your tasks untouched, and your focus completely gone. Sound familiar? We've all fallen into this trap. It's like the digital world is a vortex sucking away all your time and energy, leaving you feeling drained but not really having accomplished anything. Here's where the social media blackout period comes into play. Instead of trying to just cut down on your social media usage, which we both know is basically impossible, the solution is to embrace full-on blackouts. You literally set periods of time during your day or week where you're off the grid. No checking notifications, no scrolling for a quick break. You're disconnected, and the results are game-changing. I can speak from experience here. A few months ago, I was stuck in this exact cycle. I'd open Instagram in the morning, just to see what's going on, and suddenly an hour would go by. At the end of the day, I was frustrated with myself. My tasks weren't completed, my focus was shot, and I couldn't figure out where my time had gone. That's when I decided to implement blackout periods. I started by blocking off the first 2 hours of my workday as a complete social media blackout. At first, I felt anxious, like I was missing out. But then something incredible happened. I was actually getting work done. My brain wasn't constantly bombarded by notifications, so I could focus, think deeply, and produce real results. The real power of this method comes from reclaiming control over your time and your attention. Your brain is like a sponge, soaking up everything around it. But when it's constantly being flooded with tiny, insignificant distractions from social media, it can't retain anything of value. These blackout periods let you give your mind space to breathe and focus on what truly matters. Whether it's creative work, deep thinking, or just being present with your own thoughts. It's about taking back your mental real estate and not letting the digital world take up space that should belong to you. Here's the emotional payoff. It's empowering. When you put down the phone, you stop feeling like you're a slave to your feed. You're in control, and that sense of autonomy is priceless. You start respecting your own time again, not letting it slip away in tiny, mindless chunks. It's about drawing boundaries and saying, "This is my time, my space, my peace." You might even feel a sense of pride at the end of the day when you look back and realize how much you've accomplished. Not just because you worked harder, but because you worked smarter by cutting out the noise. So here's the takeaway. Try implementing a social media blackout. Start with a couple of hours in the morning or evening, whatever works for you. During that time, put your phone in another room, turn off your notifications, and just focus. You'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. Your productivity, your creativity, and yes, your peace of mind will thank you. And the best part? You won't feel like you're missing out. You'll feel like you're finally living, not for your notifications, but for yourself. And that's the kind of freedom we all deserve. Number 5. The 2-minute power rule. What if I told you that in just 2 minutes, you could change the way you approach your entire day? Sounds like a stretch, right? But hear me out. The 2-minute power rule might be the most underrated productivity hack you're not using. I know what you're thinking. 2 minutes? That's barely enough time to brew a cup of coffee. But trust me, if you're willing to give it a shot, those 2 minutes can have a bigger impact on your day than you could ever imagine. We've all been there. You've got a to-do list that's longer than your arm, and no matter how hard you try to chip away at it, things just keep piling up. You think, I'll start in a bit, but a bit turns into hours of procrastination. Before you know it, you're overwhelmed and stuck in the cycle of inaction. We've all been that person who's got a dozen things to do, but can't seem to start any of them. It feels like you're just spinning your wheels, doesn't it? Enter the 2-minute power rule. It's ridiculously simple but insanely effective. Here's the twist. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, you do it. Right then, right now. The catch is, you don't just apply this rule to the tiny tasks, but to the things that seem too daunting to start. Think about it. How many times have you put off something because it felt like a huge mountain to climb? Well, What if you broke that mountain into a bunch of 2-minute hills? Suddenly, the climb doesn't seem so intimidating. Here's the logic behind it. When we procrastinate, it's often because we're overwhelmed by the size or complexity of a task. The 2-minute power rule short-circuits that overwhelm. You look at something, realize it's a 2-minute job, and just knock it out. And guess what? This quick action boosts your confidence, gives you momentum, and before you know it, you're on a roll. Let me give you an example. Just last week, I was staring down a massive pile of emails that I'd been avoiding. I was avoiding them not because they were hard, but because the sheer number of them made me feel exhausted before I'd even clicked open. So I decided to apply the 2-minute power rule. I told myself, if I can answer or delete it in 2 minutes, I'll do it now. The next thing I knew, the pile had shrunk by half, and I felt so much lighter. I didn't do everything all at once, but I made real progress. Now the best part of the 2-minute power rule isn't just about getting things done. It's about how it feels to finally move forward. You know that sense of relief when you clear something off your plate that's been sitting there for way too long? That's what you get when you tackle the small stuff immediately. And emotionally, it's huge. You feel accomplished, in control, and ready to take on the next thing. You're not dragging a pile of guilt with you anymore. Your mental space is lighter, and that peace is priceless. So, here's the takeaway. Don't wait. When you see something that can be done in 2 minutes or less, do it. Stop overthinking, stop putting it off, and just act. Every tiny victory you claim builds momentum, and before long the big stuff becomes less overwhelming. This isn't just about clearing your to-do list. It's about taking control of your day, your time, and ultimately, your peace. The 2-minute power rule isn't just a productivity hack, it's a mindset shift. Start small and watch how it snowballs into something bigger, because at the end of the day, your peace, your time, and your dignity are worth those 2 minutes. Number 6, outsourcing the mundane. What if I told you that there's a way to get more done in less time without burning yourself out? Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it's actually a simple shift in mindset. Outsourcing the mundane. Yes, I'm talking about letting go of those small, repetitive tasks that seem to take up so much of your time. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, I can't afford that, or who has the time to outsource anything? Hear me out. It's not about hiring a personal assistant or anything drastic. It's about realizing that your time is precious, and you don't have to spend it doing things that aren't moving you forward. We've all been there, drowning in to-do lists that include things like answering emails, booking appointments, organizing files, or managing social media. You know the type. Tasks that don't require much brain power, but still manage to eat up hours of your day. It feels like every time you cross one off, 5 more pop up. It's like a game of whack-a-mole that never ends, right? And while we can all multitask, constantly juggling these little things is exhausting and doesn't really leave space for the stuff that truly matters. Here's where outsourcing the mundane comes in. It's about finding ways to hand off these smaller tasks to someone else, or even an app, so you can focus on what actually moves the needle for you. Imagine this. You could be focusing on creative projects, business strategy, or personal growth while someone else handles the monotonous stuff. You might be thinking, that sounds great, but how do I do that? It doesn't have to be complicated. There are tons of tools and services that can help you automate or delegate tasks, even if you're on a tight budget. Apps for managing your calendar, virtual assistants to help with emails, or freelance platforms where you can outsource small tasks. These are all options that can free up hours in your day. Let me give you a quick example. A few months ago, I found myself spending way too much time doing the little things, responding to emails, scheduling meetings, and setting up social media posts. They weren't hard tasks, but they were eating up so much of my time and energy. I decided to experiment with outsourcing a few of them. I started using a scheduling tool to automatically book my meetings and a social media manager to schedule posts. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Suddenly, I had time to focus on the big projects that actually required my attention and creativity. And guess what? I wasn't any less productive. I was just focused on the right things. This isn't just about getting more done. It's about protecting your energy. When you offload the repetitive stuff, you make space for what truly matters. You're not just clearing your plate, you're reclaiming your time, your peace, and your mental space. And emotionally, that's huge. No more guilt over feeling like you should be doing everything yourself. No more overwhelm from a to-do list that never ends. You're taking control of your day in a way that puts your priorities first. So, here's the takeaway. Don't let the mundane steal your time. Find ways to outsource or automate those small tasks so you can focus on what really moves you forward. Your time is valuable. Don't waste it doing things that drain you. Outsourcing the mundane is about taking charge of your day, your goals, and your well-being. It's a small shift that can create big changes. And at the end of the day, it's about respecting your time and investing it in what truly matters. Your space, your peace, and your dignity are worth more than a never-ending to-do list. Number 7. The Sunday night CEO ritual. What if I told you that the key to having an amazing, productive week could be set up on Sunday night? Sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. What if instead of winding down for the weekend with your mind racing about everything you have to do, you could actually take control and set yourself up for success before the week even begins? Yes, trust me on this. The Sunday night CEO ritual is about taking a few simple, intentional actions that shift your mindset from chaos to clarity and empower you to hit Monday with confidence. You know the type. Sunday nights spent stressing over what's ahead, feeling like you're already drowning in the pile of tasks, emails, or meetings that'll greet you on Monday. It's the classic Sunday night dread that's all too familiar. We've all been there, trying to squeeze in one more episode of your favorite show, only to look at the clock and realize you've lost hours of precious time. It's easy to let that feeling of overwhelm sneak up on you. But what if I told you that a simple ritual could completely change how you start your week? The Sunday night CEO ritual is all about taking 30 minutes to an hour on Sunday night to intentionally prep for the week ahead, but in a way that shifts the way you approach Monday. It's about creating space to breathe, plan, and reset. You're not just throwing together a random list of to-dos or frantically trying to figure out what to wear the next day. Instead, you're creating a solid game plan for your personal and professional goals, outlining the most important tasks, and even preparing your mindset. This might sound like an over-the-top productivity hack, but trust me, it works because it taps into the way your brain works. By setting up the mental and physical pieces for the week ahead, you eliminate decision fatigue and mentally prep yourself for success. Let me give you an example. A few months ago, I found myself dragging every Monday morning, already overwhelmed by what I had to do. I decided to try the Sunday night CEO ritual. I took an hour to reflect on what I'd accomplished that week and set intentional goals for the next one. I created a list of key tasks I needed to focus on, checked in with my calendar, and even laid out my clothes for the week. Sounds simple, right? But by Sunday night, I felt more energized and less anxious because I had already mapped out the big stuff. When Monday rolled around, I wasn't scrambling to find my keys or mentally preparing for the chaos. I was ready to hit the ground running. The shift was subtle but impactful. Here's the real power of this ritual. It's not just about being productive. It's about reclaiming your time and your peace. By setting aside time to plan, you're taking back control. You're telling yourself that you're not just reacting to the world around you. You're proactive. You're in charge. And emotionally, that can be huge. No more Sunday night anxiety. No more feeling like you're drowning in to-dos before the week even starts. It's a small act of self-care that sets you up for success. It's about showing up for yourself. So here's the takeaway. If you want to own your week, start on Sunday night. Implementing the Sunday night CEO ritual isn't just about productivity. It's about peace of mind, clarity, and confidence. You're setting yourself up to thrive, not just survive. Take control, plan with intention, and step into your week with strength and self-respect. Your space, your peace, and your dignity begin with how you choose to prepare. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope these time management hacks were helpful and gave you some fresh insights into how you can reclaim control of your day. If you found value in this video, please hit that like button. It helps so much. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more practical tips on productivity and time management. If you know someone who's juggling a million tasks and could use a little time-saving magic, share this video with them. I'd love to hear your thoughts or any personal experiences you have with time management in the comments. Let's get a conversation going. Remember, time is our most precious resource, so let's make it work for us, not the other way around. Keep taking charge of your time, and I'll see you in the next video.